So grab a coffee, get yourselves ready. You're definitely going to need a coffee or tea. Tea if you're British. So the early ones, I definitely can pick on you if I've got questions, because you're here and you're very keen and you're clearly engaged in AI. So I'm going to pick on you guys for sure if I don't get anyone else answering questions. Right, let's get this slideshow on. Oh, that is the wrong slide. Actually, let me just... There we go. Okay. Welcome. If you're just joining, we'll give it another 30 seconds or so for people to get their coffees and make sure their cameras are working and getting all ready to join us. And thank you very much if you've been waiting already. I know we had some very keen early joiners, which is good. Let's give us another minute or so. See how many do we have? We have a good turnout already. Excellent. Right, I'll start introing, and then as people join, they can join where we are. So welcome, good morning, happy Monday. I hope you're very excited for the week and what we've got in store for you today. You have joined our intro sessions to the summer sessions for Gemini. Here we're going to go over all things Gemini for Google Workspace, and I'll go into more detail in just a minute. Do a bit of high level on AI in general in the business, what we've seen in the Endeavor team of Gemini in other businesses. So myself, I'm going to do a bit of an introduction in a minute, but I have to apologize. I sound a bit stuffy, so apologies. If you need me to repeat anything, please just pop it in the chat. All right, well, let's get started. Thank you very much for joining. Firstly, I'd love to talk about the etiquette of the call. So you can all put your cameras on or off. It's up to you. One person per device, please. So we've got good questions and answers in chat. And if you do want to share comments, questions, you can use the chat button at the bottom. We also have the ability to do if you click the activities button, you have a questions and answers section where you can see what questions others have asked and you can upvote those. I will leave a short period of time at the end for any questions. I'll also attempt to demo any questions as well if you have any. Yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you very much. Who am I? So I'm Pablo Sava. I'm here, part of the Google Workspace team in UK, and I also do the CSS across EMEA for Devo team. I've got a bit of experience under my belt when it comes to Google Workspace and AI actually as well. I'm based in Scotland, but my office is here in London. I'm actually in the office today. And yeah, but if you feel the need to contact me or have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're getting stuck in. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of AI at Google. interestingly enough, Google's been knee-deep in AI for a very long time. And actually, you can see elements of this across the whole platform, which is the assistant text typing in Gmail, so finish my sentence. Also, there's some fascinating products and projects that Google have done as well. Detecting diseases in India, with a photo of an eye, and DeepMind's Alpha. Quick, actually, just to make sure everyone has their coffee and is alert, but also is listening, a quick hands up in the meet. Would love to hear who has watched AlphaGo, the documentary, which is the DeepMind project to create a AI AlphaGo competitor. Anyone seen that? If there's no hands, it's a must watch. It's very techy, but it's actually fascinating. Please do watch AlphaGo. It's a brilliant documentary. Good. Actually, that documentary caused there to be a shortage of Go boards across the world. Well, not the documentary, sorry, the experiment. So definitely take a look. Good. I'm going to roll back quite a while ago. And this is a quote. Oh, I didn't put who it's from in there. It's from Steve Jobs. And he once said, well, he had a colleague that said, it's only 10 seconds, it won't affect the user. But actually, his view was you save a user 10 to 5 seconds and multiply that across all of the users, that's a lifetime. Now, I think this has something, I think you can almost 10 times this today with AI, because of the amount of time saving that you could do potentially in people's days, in the everyday working of your staff or users. So if you think about that in the context of how much time you're saving over the vast quantity of people that are using it, it becomes a huge amount of time saved, even if it's just helping with a formula, for example. So keeping that in mind, there was a very interesting McKinsey study about the potential savings for users and staff or people, I would say, that are using AI. And I think this is really, really interesting because it's the equivalent to $2.6 trillion to $4.4 trillion across 63 of the use cases in AI that the McKinsey study looked at. Now, this is huge, and it's only 63 of the use cases. I'm sure there's more out there. So it's more about how you adopt AI and how much time it could save. And part of that is the journey of how you and your business, if you like, adopt AI. So I'm going to just turn to a customer that we have. So Button Up Box is one of our customers. We have a great relationship with them. And in passing, we were on a call and we said, have you seen this AI tool, this Gemini AI tool? Do you think it could help your business? We're not sure. Should we have a look at what it does? So just on one of our regular catch-ups, we took a look. And it's very important you take in this picture of their mascot, which is a dog with a blue scarf. So we took a look at the image generator in Gemini. And this was back in August 2023. And they said, okay, well, let's test this, because we usually hire a photographer, get a dog, do the whole shoot for the marketing campaign. So why don't you show me pictures of a dog with a blue scarf on a boat? So okay, let's give it a go. So this was back in August, and that actually did prompt them to consider taking a few licenses for their marketing team, which was great. So a few months passed, and we said, well, let's take a look at doing that same prompt again. And here's the same prompt again. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a much higher quality of output in AI. And I think you can see how AI is evolving just in I think that was just 2-3 months. So I just did one yesterday again, and now we're seeing a totally different output. So I think the key takeaway here is that AI is one of those journeys, just like the internet was in the early days, where it's evolving at an extremely fast rate at the moment. We're really in that early adopter phase where the evolution of the product is going extremely fast. And it's about, do you want your colleagues and your business to join that journey? Needless to say, these are much better quality photos or pictures, I should say AI generated images that can be used for their marketing campaign now as well, which is excellent. Also, you notice there's a different mix of dogs these days as well. Good. So now that I have forced onto you the benefits and examples of how AI can be used in the workplace, we can talk a little bit more about the specifics of Gemini AI going forward. So today I'm going to be talking about Gemini for Google Workspace, which is very different to the other products and services that Google provide. Google Workspace, the Gemini that's baked into Google Workspace does not have integrations and APIs. That's the biggest piece. It does not mean that you can't integrate into Gemini. Those are different services just to the right, which are based on usage rather than on a license. So for the case in this presentation, we're talking about Gemini for Google Workspace. I cannot also answer questions at the end for this as well. We often get questions about how you can integrate your knowledge base, things like that, which we can definitely cover as well. I would also add some of these tools. I mean, this is an ever-growing catalog. We have to keep updating this slide constantly. But some of these tools you can use today at no cost almost. So AI Studio, for example, using Data Studio with AI elements. Absolutely fantastic to look at data. So definitely take a look at them. Notebook LM has just been announced as well. These are not SLA-driven products, so you don't have a license for them, but you can use them through consumer. Okay. So let's take a look at Gemini, Gemini in Google Workspace. Actually, quick hands up before I go any further. So don't be shy. I'm not going to pick on you, don't worry. But a hands up or a thumbs up emoji. How many of you have already tried or used Gemini in Google Workspace? Okay, lots. That's great. Lots of emojis and hands. Great. You can put your hands down if you raised your hand. So then a follow-up question. Put your hand up or thumbs up if that was in 2023 that you tried it. You tried it this year then. Everyone's tried it this year. Oh, that's good. Okay, because it's a very different product this year. Even in the last month, it's evolved dramatically. So hopefully there's some things you didn't know existed in this product, because I mean, I'm finding new things every day. So let's go through some of these. There are 3 ways to interface with Google Workspace for Gemini for Google Workspace, sorry. And that's in Help Me Write, so inline. That's within documents and emails. You can ask it to help you draft an email. If I'm honest, that's the most useful for me. I tend to use this on the go. I tend to use this because I've got terrible spelling, as some of you may know. And so it really does help get that quality. So that's another thing we'll talk about in a minute as well. The side panel. Now, this was a game changer. It is GA as of just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. The side panel really surfaces the Gemini toolset into your face, basically, constantly every day. If you've clicked it once, it's persistent side panel, and it's constantly suggesting things that you could do with the data on your screen. Now, this is really important because I'll talk about it in a moment as well. There's definitely something about mentality to be said here. You always forget that a computer isn't just for computing these days. AI has really changed that. And so the side panel is really surfaced there for users to remind them to try. And the full experience via gemini.google.com, which I'll go into in just a moment as well. So that's a persistent chat, which I can demo in a second. So side panel, I've already described what it is and how it works. And here's a little GIF that shows you, and I'll show you in a demo just in a minute. The important part about side panel is that it's going to take in the data that's on your screen. So if you're looking at an email, if you're looking at a document or a sheet, it's related to the item you're looking at. In Drive, it's related to everything you have access to in Drive. Then you can use a bit of a context-aware search, if you like, in Drive. Okay, let's take a look at it in action now that we've had a bit of a summary. We're blasting through this a lot quicker than I thought. Good. Please do remember that you can ask questions. You can, let me just see if there's any chat. No, all silent. sure there's no questions. No, okay, good. Suppose it's a Monday morning. Okay, so firstly, I want to make clear what the difference between the Gemini chat experiences and the side panel. So Gemini in general doesn't have context of who you are. When you start using Gemini, it doesn't know your name, your role, where you live. It doesn't know any of that. And that's easily forgotten. It's very easily forgotten that you're talking to something that doesn't have the context of who you are. For that reason, it's really important to give it that context and background where, what's important to you when it's replying to your prompts. And so actually Gemini.google.com is better at that because it has retention of chat. And what that means is you can keep your chats, your conversation, and you can come back to the next day, you can come back to after you've closed the window. With the side panel, those are not retained. So every time you open the side panel, it's Groundhog Day again. It doesn't know who you are, so you need to re-prompt and make sure that that's clear. There are disadvantages and advantages to this, and I'll show you just in a second. So with that, let me pause and stop presenting this for a second. And then I'll switch back to, let's do, which window do I need to do? It will be this one. Good. Excellent. You should see a Gemini window, I hope. Bear with me 2 seconds. Lots of windows open. Here we go. Okay, so I promise you, I have written these just yesterday, these prompts, but I am copying them from Clipboard because my spelling is horrendous and no one wants to watch me slowly type. So rather than typing away, what I'm going to show you here is on the left-hand side, what I mean by persistent conversations is in here, you'll see I've got some conversations from previously. In fact, yesterday I asked for a file organizer for my photos. I wanted to organize all my photos in different folders. So I asked it to make an app script. I am not a developer. I do not know anything of what's going on in this script, but Gemini has kindly given me the instructions on how to run it and help me with any errors I've found. So I don't have to be a developer to create a script, which is really nice. But if I start a new chat, and let me just close this again, I can start from fresh. So I can give it context who I am, what I'm doing. I'm not going to take that time at the moment, but proper prompting would mean I'd give it that context. I'm actually going to go and ask it to give me a specific piece of information. So I'm going to upload an image. So if I do that, I'm going to add the image just now. You probably can't see me adding it. There we go. That image is an image of an app. Let me just see if I can grab that image for you to see as well. Link. So we made well, I don't know, we didn't make. We have the wireframe of an app that we have been helping develop. And that application shows the flow of creating an appointment in the app. So it's a doctor's appointment app. And it shows step by step what needs to happen. So I've given that to Gemini. And in that prompt, in the prompt section, I'm going to add, just add it here. Oops, where's my mouse gone? There it is. Paste. The image shows a step-by-step starting from the appointment in the Dr. Lib app, how to navigate to your documents, then the prescriptions, and then addition of a pill box. Create an operating procedure for the steps for the users of this application. So if I go ahead and click submit, what it's going to do is going to actually take a look at the image, do some OCR, understand the context of what's happening in that image, and it's going to help me create a detailed step-by-step. Oh, look at that. Of course, Gemini has Monday morning blues as well sometimes, so let's give that another go. Let me just make sure it's all working. I didn't put anything in that I shouldn't. Let's put the app in there. Maybe that was it. Try again. This is the luxury of demoing AI live. I'm not asking you to generate images. Huh. Yeah, this has happened a bit recently. Normally this would have, let me just update that. Okay, I'm not asking it to generate images, but it seems to want to generate an image. So normally that would come back with a procedure document, which I do have. Do have an example of it very far down here, which I've done before. This is part of my demo. Here we go. Oops, here we go. So this is the output I would have expected. So it took a look at the application, the image. It's done details as to where to click and what to tap on the app. And it shows you look for the button or option labeled add pillbox or similar and tap to initiate the process. And I can export that to Google Sheets now as well. I can ask it to be, so originally that wasn't in tabular form. So the initial response was a list, a document. Actually, I didn't want that as a document. I wanted it in tabular. So my prompt was provide these steps in a tabular form. And then these are the outputs. So you can transform these as well. I quite like this. I like going from tabular to non-tabular, organizing sheets or data into sheets. It's really nicely done in here. And the good thing is, like you've just seen, I can go back to those conversations and I can keep going with them, or I can modify the prompt that I've previously done with them as well. The memory is there with Gemini.google.com. Good. I'll stop with that one. Let's have a look at the next. So give me 2 seconds. I'll grab the next part. Okay, so let's do. And please do tell me if you can't see or if you want me to zoom in. So for the next part, I'm going to show you. Whoops. Let me grab. Yeah. There we go. So here we have an email from a disgruntled employee. If it loads, here we go. I'll try and zoom in. Can you guys read? Oh, no, you can't see it either. Let me stop presenting and give you the right slides. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so here we have an email from a customer. So we're a bamboo furniture company. We create furniture that we deliver to our customers. This person, Simone, is writing to express her dissatisfaction in the delivery that she got. She was not happy with the delayed delivery, but also that the item was damaged on arrival. She'd already reached out and was told that they'd get a replacement, but it hasn't arrived. They're very disappointed. So in this case, I'm going to hit reply. And I'm going to draft a reply with the help of Gemini. So if I click this, I can type in, I'm going to type it this time. Draft a response. Oops. See, I told you I'm really bad at spelling. Draft a response and explain how we will prevent this from happening in the future. So, draft a response, explain how we prevent this from happening in the future. I have not given any context. I'm expecting Gemini to read the email and create a draft response. Let's hit create. There we go. Now let's see. Okay, this is different. Again, whenever I do these demos, they're always different. I'm writing to apologize for the inconvenience and frustration. I understand that delay in the furniture is unacceptable. We're investigating the matter with a supplier and won't happen again. And we've also arranged a replacement for you and a discount on your next purchase as a gesture of goodwill. That's good. I actually quite like that. It used to suggest a 20% discount or like a 50% discount. I think Gemini's cooled it down. We're in a recession. We can't afford to give that much discount. So we can refine these as well. We can elaborate, formalize, shorten them, and you can ask it to recreate in total and then just insert and send. So what I really like is, I'll show you that in just a moment as well, is you can do all this from your mobile. So the Gmail app has Gemini embedded in the mobile experience. So actually, this has saved me a few times jumping on a plane and I'm walking up the stairs and I'm trying to reply to an email regarding GDPR. That's a kind of email that I expect to do behind a desk. But actually, Gemini makes that possible in a busy lifestyle like that. Oh, look at that! It's even put my signature in there. Customer service manager from the Bamboo Furniture Company. Excellent. Okay, and that's an email from here. Let me also let you summarize. Let me just copy this. Copy this in here. So I absolutely love this option. I don't know about you guys, but might go email the team on a Thursday evening, for example, and the team are just extremely keen, and everyone replies, even in the evening. And I get an email thread, which is 16 responses, all very detailed, including things like images. So Ronald here has added loads of images of what she might like. So the email that I sent to the team was that we should get Simone a surprise cake. It's not the same Simone that was very annoyed about her furniture, by the way. And everyone is very keen for cake, obviously. So everyone's decided that they're going to going to suggest some ideas for cake. So what I'm going to do is I'll use the side panel. It's the first time we see it in this demo. And what I'd like to do is summarize the email. So let's go ahead and summarize that email. I don't want it detailed, actually. Just give me a summary. Provide a summary of this email. Now, I don't want to go through every single message, so I'm hoping Gemini can really help me with this one. Here we go. This is great. So it started with my email suggesting that we should make a cake. Ronald suggested we should do one with macarons. Hans said chocolate and fruit cake. Marcus offered to bake the cake but needs a theme. Simone thanked Tom for their suggestions. I don't know why Simone's suggesting things for her birthday cake as a surprise. And other colleagues claim that they have their support for the surprise. That's great. Now, I love this part. At the bottom, I don't even need to think about my next prompt, because what I was going to ask was, okay, what cake do I get? But actually, Gemini's already gone one step ahead, and it suggested a prompt which I didn't think about, which is, what are Simone's dietary restrictions? Okay, so was that mentioned in the thread? So I hit that button. And apparently Simone is allergic to nuts and is lactose intolerant. Okay, and she has dietary restrictions? Okay, what are they? Oh, the same. That's good. Okay, I get it. Simone is allergic. That's fine. Thank you very much, Gemini. We fully understand that. So then I can also ask, what theme should the cake be? I'm assuming that they discuss themes. There we go. Okay, Marcus suggested that we make Simone feels like she's 10 years old again, mentioning that fairies and clowns and marching bands. Okay, interesting. There's a pie cake that was suggested as well. And it mentions that she liked to ride horses and birds when she was 10, so we should do that. So you see where I'm coming from, right? This really long email thread, I'm now starting to really digest and pick out what I need from the email thread. It doesn't have to be one email thread. It can be from your whole mailbox. You could ask about the customer, what do they need? What's the most common theme that they email you with? All those kinds of things that can be done in here as well, which is great. So I'm just gonna really quickly, if you bear with me, I'm gonna switch to another window and I'll show you a bit more context on emails. Let's have a look at this one. Here we go. So. Okay, and then I'll share the screen. Sometimes I find demos, you're changing windows and screens more than you're demoing occasionally. Good. So I can actually use side panel on the whole mailbox. I don't have to do it within a particular email thread or a particular message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt in here. Oops, where's my mouse gone? In here. I'm going to say summarize any emails relating to birthday cake. There's a birthday cake theme. I don't know if you clock that. And extract critical information and tasks for me. So what I'm saying here is, actually, I know I've got to do something with a cake. I can't remember what, I can't remember who. So summarize any emails regarding birthday cake and extract any critical information and tasks for me. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to look at any emails. I've got a few unread, which I think there's maybe one or two that look like it might be birthday cake related, but I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Okay, great. So, apparently I sent it to myself because it's a demo and I couldn't get anyone to send it to me. But surprise cake, and here it is. Pick up the cake 1 month in advance, freeze the cake due to early preparation, bring cash and 2 bags of gold coins, avoid sneezing in the bakery to prevent punishment, and attach the meeting notes for additional information. So it has picked out the context of the different emails and given me all of that in one prompt, which is great. I've also got another prompt here I just made earlier, which I think is great. So another one I find difficult is often trying to understand the calendar events that I am looking for and are related to me. So I can say, show me all the calendar related updates and emails I have not read. So let's take a look and watch what happens to my screen, hopefully, if the prompt works properly. It can actually manipulate the view you've got of your mailbox to show you the messages that are relevant to you. So this is also critical as well. You can use Gemini to do those more advanced Google Mail searches as well, which is really nice because you can add context. And on top of that, you can do add files as well. So for example, list all emails referring to this content. I haven't actually tested this prompt, but let's give it a go. Here we go. To this content. Oh, my spelling is terrible. I'm sorry. And then what I can do here, this is new, guys, and this is extremely powerful. I can do the @ symbol, and then I can choose a document. I wonder which one I need to do, actually. Let's do this one. And I can ask for emails that are related to a document or anything like that. Oh, no emails match your request. Okay, I hadn't tried that one before, to be fair. But you can also ask it to summarize a document in an email you're composing or anything like that. Good. Okay, I'm going to stop there for Gmail. I'm curious if there's no questions or answers at all. I'm stunned. You either have seen all this before or I'm doing a very good job. Let me go back to the slides. Wow. Okay, so what we've seen, what we've seen here is what we can do in the Gmail UI on desktop, but this also applies to the mobile UI. So the help me write emails can be done on the mobile, which again, I find that absolutely incredibly useful, especially for people on the go. Helping you take notes and track Google Meet. Hands up if you've used this before, or thumbs up, anyone who's used this before. Anyone? No? Okay, if you've not used it before, I am actually going to, okay, we've got one. Thank you, Natalie. I'm actually going to turn it on for this call. So on this Meet, you should see a small pencil icon at the top right. Don't press anything. I'm gonna do it for you. So, but if you click the pencil, you'll see a little pop-up. I should really. Oh, actually, you can see it in the slide. So I click the same pencil, and I click start taking notes. And what's going to happen there is it will create a transcribe. You can uncheck transcribe if you don't want. But it will also create a generative AI document. And that document will look something like, I'll grab that example here. Something like this. So here's a meeting that Max and I had regarding, again, the birthday cake. I know that theme keeps coming back. I'm sorry. So what Gemini has done is it's put the meeting details in a document. And it doesn't actually generate this until you finish the meeting. And that's because actually it needs the context of the full meeting to understand and make sure it summarizes that meeting correctly. So in here, it's going to recap the topics we discussed. So we did start talking a lot about Gotland ponies for some reason, and that we needed to clarify. But also what I really like is that it will create the action items from that call. So here it says that Max will do the transport planning. So I can then click the task and I can assign that task to him and it will go into their assigned tasks. This is really good. I genuinely like this a lot. It's very rare I don't turn this on. It's worth keeping the transcribe button on as well, though, because you can get a full transcript in a Google Doc, and then you can use the side panel on that full transcript, which is extremely useful. But these are a godsend. They actually save so much time, and that it means that there's not someone that needs to focus on taking the notes in the meeting and not actually attending or being there, if that makes any sense, actually. So it's very powerful. And actually, probably one of the biggest impacts we see from customers is the note-taking in meetings. Good. Okay, let me head over. So the next one I want to show you is Google Docs. So I'm going to open up a new tab. And I'm going to type docs.new or doc.new, I think it is. Doc.new. I don't know if anyone knew that, or maybe people that didn't know that, but if you type doc.new in the URL bar, it will actually just create a new document. Now, before I go into details here, quick thumbs up on who knows what a smart chip is in Google World. Has anyone heard of a smart chip in the Google World? Got 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. We have a few that haven't, so I'm just going to really quickly explain what that is because it's really important in the context of what we're doing. In the Google World, you can type the @ symbol in a document or in a sheet, and it will show you what's called a smart chip. And here you can add a task. I could add, like I did earlier, I could add a task for Sean to make a cake, and it will appear on his calendar and is in his task list. You can make a placeholder chip. You can even do a product roadmap tracker. So Google can do that for you in a document. You can do meeting notes, for example. So there's this meeting today. And yeah, so basically it pulls in data and it helps you to create using a Google Doc. Why is that important? Because Gemini will use these. So if I click the help me write, for example, I can say draft a informal email from the CEO of the Devo team explaining that we have had such a good quarter. Everyone will get an extra bonus. Oops. And then I'm going to say use emojis and make it fun. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to ask it to help me write. The same way you can do it in Gmail. The big difference in Google Docs, you'll see in a moment, is it uses smart chips, which I really like. So in this example, it's used the Gmail smart chip. So it's if you do @ symbol Gmail, it will let you draft an email. You can do the same thing with the calendar. And in here, it's given us a draft. So the other thing you'll see is there's a variable. So Google Docs variables means that you can make a template, and then you enter the company name in one section of the template, and it populates the whole document with the company name in the right place. So that's a variable. It works as well with Gemini. So Gemini is really good at making contract templates and things like that, which we'll do in the next summer sessions. So in here, what I really like is the refine. Now, I often get responses from people saying, the summary was too short, or I really needed to refactor that response. So it actually lets you, it gives you some suggestions, so you can change the tone, summarize, bulletize, all that stuff. But actually, I'm going to make it, make this into a limerick. Is that spelled limerick? Yeah. but keep the emojis. And hit go. Oh, that's a very short limerick. Okay. Good. Now I've refined it, but actually I really don't like that. So what you can do is you can go back to the different versions that it's created according to the refine, where you can refine again or refine a different version. I really like this because AI doesn't get it right first time a lot of the time. It's a bit of an iterative process. Also, as you learn to prompt better, it also becomes better. So this is really important, the iterative part of this. So I can get into that. There it is. So that's really, really handy. The Gemini side panel, which is absolutely great, means that I can now, from within a document, I can summarize it. So it's already doing that, and it will do that for anything you open on the screen. So it says here, the summary of the document is XYZ. But actually, for unrelated reasons, I'm going to put a summary of the security aspects of the tool we use at work. Let's say we use Zoom. We don't actually use Zoom, by the way. So I can say summarize the security aspects in, and then, whoops, no, not win, in, and I can do the @ symbol. I'm going to do Zoom terms and conditions, T's and C's. Let's do this one. It does PDFs as well. I just happen to have it in a Google Doc. You can put it in a PDF, no issues. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to go to that document, and it's going to pull out summarize the content I'm referring to and asking for, and then give me a summary. Now, this is absolute game changer. I have not had to leave my Google document to go and get content from another Google document. And I'm about to show you how it gets better in a second. So here you can see it's summarized. So that document, by the way, is something like 50 pages of terms and conditions. And it's summarized only the sections that I feel is relevant. So prohibited users, compliance with law, and data usage. So I can now insert that into my document, and here it is. I've got a summary of the aspects of the terms and conditions from Zoom that I asked for, which is great. So I'm actually going to ask it I'm not going to ask for a specific file. I'm going to give it a please list, whoops, the different services and offerings that Devo team provide for Google Workspace CSS. Now, I'm asking it a question about offerings I know I have in my Google Drive, but I'm not giving it a document. So let me see if this one works. Again, this one's not as tried and tested, this prompt, so I'm going to give it a go. Oh, it's taking a minute. It's looking through my drive. There we go. So here is the offering. So it's given me exactly what I want. So different size of customers get different offerings according to CSS. It's exactly what I was looking for. And I know it's come from a Google Deck because if I look at the sources, it's going to show me all of the documents and files in my drive that it's got the content from, which is perfect. Good. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second. Let's see if there's any questions or anything there. Let me just stop presenting. No questions? No questions yet. Okay, any chat? No. We've seen it in the session. Okay, good to know. So how many of you have seen the side panel before? Is this the first time you're seeing the side panel? Thumbs up if you haven't, if this is the first time you're seeing the side panel capability. Okay, good. Well, in that case, it should get even more interesting in just a second. So let me go back. Okay, no questions. So let's head forward. Let me close this document. So how many of you are avid Google Sheet users? Give me a thumbs up emoji. If you're an avid Google Sheet user, yes, you're going to love these. Good. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So let's grab a Google Sheet and share my screen. Here we go. Right. Here we have a pre-populated Google Sheet. Now, I need to just explain to you what I'm doing here. So I have a populated sheet of users that I'm going to give a trial license of Gemini to for just a little bit of time. But you must have a Google Workspace account. So I've taken the list of email addresses, and I want to make sure that they all have Google accounts. So this is a list of people that have Google accounts. And this is a list of people that have been asked to go in the trial. Good. Let me just minimize this a little bit as well. Good. Oh, let me just delete this here. Perfect. So if I open up the side panel, excuse me, you'll see that it's trying to summarize the content in this sheet. Now, summaries of sheets are a little bit more difficult, but it does seem to get it quite well. It contains a list of email addresses of individuals who have Google accounts and who, yeah, so that's good. That's a good summary, I'd say. So in here, I actually want to try and compare two columns. I don't know if you guys ever have this, but I find this very difficult. I'm not a developer. I'm not very sheetsy, if you like. But I want my task here is to see if the person in this column is also in this column, then say yes. If they're not, then just provide no error. No, I have done this before, so I'm going to just copy my prompt, but I'll explain the prompt to you in just a second. So if I click in here, oops, and create my prompt. So what I'm asking for is create a formula that checks if the value in column D appears in column M. If the value is there, show user has a Google account. You are all good. And then in here, I haven't finished. So, oh, and if there's an error, don't show a value. There we go. Do not return a value. It's in there as well. So let's hit go on that one. There's also something to be said about how you describe the problem. And in this case, I've asked it to check the contents in column D versus the contents in column M. I could have said, check everyone that has been put on the trial and see if they have a Google account. But Gemini doesn't understand the context of what's in this column. So I've specified that. And here we go. It's literally taken me a few seconds. It's created a formula. I wouldn't have used if error. I don't actually know what if error does. And actually, if we drag that down, we can now see, hopefully, that the users that don't have a Google account, so this person doesn't have a Google account, this person doesn't, so we are all good for the other ones. So within a few seconds, I've made a pretty advanced formula that I don't think I would have been able to make. And if I did have to make that, it would take me at least an hour to figure out how to do it in just a few seconds with the side panel, which is cool. I quite like this. Okay, I'm going to pause. Let's see if there's any questions. Nope, still nothing. Okay. I'll add another sheet as well, just to show you a little bit more context. And that'll be my last. Actually, no. Do you know what? Let's go. Let's move on because we've got a lot to cover. So, yes, let's move on. So slides. So let's do slides.new. So in slides, we have a few new things as well, which is quite nice. The key one I quite like is the image generation. So thumbs up if you tried image generation in slides or in Gemini. Okay, good. I'm actually going to get you guys to contribute to this call a little bit more. So I would like for you all to click the speech bubble at the bottom of the Meet. I'd like for some of you to give me a dish. So give me a dish that you think I probably haven't tried, an interesting one. Don't go too wild. I don't like spicy food either. And give me a location that you wouldn't expect to see a plate of the dish I'm about to put in here. So, right. Start typing, guys. Let's have a look. I'm going to need some dishes and locations. And the Most obscure dishes and locations will win. Don't give me things that I can find on Google search. Don't say Eiffel Tower. That is an item I can find on Google search. I want to generative AI this. I want to the top of a mountain, in front of a volcano. Give me something crazy different that I can generate, but I wouldn't necessarily find. Or it sounds like everyone needs a coffee. Like, have you guys found the chat button here? There we go. Okay. Meat pie on the moon. Okay. I need at least 3. I need another 1 or 2. I've seen ramen at a volcano. I've seen tarsu pork on a ski slope. Olive soup on a motorbike. Okay. All right. This is a really good. Shakshuka in the Alps. I love that one. Okay. I did say I didn't like spicy, but I think I'll let that one slide. It's not too bad. Okay. Let's go for shakshuka. I'm going to mix it up a bit. I think Paul's put on a motorbike. Let's go for shakshuka on a motorbike. Okay. So is it a bowl of shakshuka or a plate? I'm going to go for a bowl. Bowl of shakshuka. This is how you know this isn't pre-prepared, by the way. On a motorbike. Okay, let's see if this works. I wonder if it's going to be a motorbike that's riding or if it's going to be just a motorbike. Let's see. So while this is generating, on a slide I'll cover in just a moment, there is a copyright free on all images that are generated. So you can freely use them. Google will take onus of any copyright issues should there any arise. That does also mean that you cannot generate images of things like a can of Coke or a bottle of Pepsi, or a Toblerone that someone tried to ask me to draw in a generative AI. Oh, it's taking extra long. I think it's because it's Monday and it's not feeling it. There we go. Or it was just a really difficult prompt. That's also possible. There we go. We've got a shakshuka on a motorbike. I can honestly say I have not asked anyone to generate that kind of image before. And I don't think I'd find that in Google search. These motorbikes look pretty cool, actually, as well. Interesting. Okay. That's a mighty fine looking shakshuka. Okay. So the reason this is a bit of fun, but you have to remember the context here. So if you're designing a new air monitor or phone mast that's going to go into a city, think about how you can generate that image copyright free to go into your deck, which is really interesting and very useful. All right, I think I'm on the 10-minute warning now. Yeah. So last thing I'll do is I'll add a new slide. And then what I'll ask for is I'll ask it to generate a slide. I don't know if many of you seen that. So if I open the side panel, I can use it to generate a slide according to items I already have. So I could say generate a slide. Explain. Oops. The key. Oops. Takeaways from this document. So I'm going to ask it to generate a slide explaining the key takeaways from, and I can't remember where my meeting notes were. Remember, I don't know if you remember those meeting notes I made with, let's do this. Whoops. Oh, give me 2 seconds, guys. I've lost my notes. Let me go in here. Whoops, history. So Pablo's Gemini notes. Let's do that. At Pablo's Gemini notes. Here we go. So I want you to really soak in what the prompt is here. Generate a slide explaining the key takeaways from this document, and that document is the meeting generated notes. I'm about to make a slide from a discussion I've had, so I haven't typed anything. Well, I say I'm about to. I'm going to hope that Gemini can do it for me. So it's going to read my notes. It's going to take the key takeaways from my notes, and then it's going to generate a slide. It also should attempt to generate an image for that as well, which will be interesting. There we go. Oh, look at that. So This slide was generated without, the only thing I typed in a keyboard was the prompt. I had the conversation in a meeting. That meeting created the meeting notes. The meeting notes is what I used to generate this slide, and this slide has generated an image. It's generated the key takeaways of what we need to do next. And I have not touched anything on the keyboard apart from the prompt. This is great for sales calls, sales planning, all of those things that you need to have key takeaways from. You can do that straight away. Okay, we have to talk about security and the boring stuff. So I'm going to stop the demo for now, and I'm going to carry on the presentation. And I do want a little bit of time at the end for any questions. So let's go back to the slides. And, oh, why isn't it? Oh, here we go. Oh, I see some questions. I'm going to grab them in just a second. Let's finish up these slides. So next part is with the Gemini for Google Workspace, you get something that's not user-facing, which is extremely useful. It is generative AI document labeling. What does that mean? It sounds like a really, really big technical term. Basically, you can use AI to understand the context of documents in order to label them. The best example of this is if I have a load of CVs sitting in Google Drive or a shared drive, and I want to make sure I label them because they're GDPR and they need to be compliant and need to make sure we get rid of them at a certain point or not share them. So I can ask my AI classification with Gemini to classify any CV as a personal identifiable apologies, personal identifiable file, and then I can add DLP rules or sharing rules. Now, it's really hard to do that with a CV because CVs generally don't have the word CV, curriculum vitae, or resume in the document. So it has to read the document, understand the context of what that document is, and then be able to label that. So with Gemini for Google Workspace, you get that ability for every user that has that license, which is honestly a huge win for security. So you might just want to turn it on. And that's okay, you can just turn it on, but you have to take things into consideration. When the World Wide Web first came out, it wasn't a case of just everyone adopted it straight away. It had its phase of learning, and so usually the early adopters were the ones that were first in to be able to really utilize it and take advantage of e-commerce and things like that that were online. And it's the same thing with AI. It's definitely on a very fast pace trajectory to becoming extremely helpful and useful without much training, but it does need a little bit of training as well right now. Computers are no longer for computing. It is really hard to get out of the habit of saying, oh, if it's not a 1 + 1 or an equation, then I can't really ask a computer for any help. Actually, today you can. You can give it context. You can give it understanding. Pretend it's someone you just met at a party and you're asking them to help you with a deck. You have to explain to them, this is my role. This is what I do. Can you please help me with creating this? And that's where the mentality shift needs to change. Actually, I can use AI to help me with this task, or I should try it and use AI for this task. So this is what I mean, is giving the people that you give a license to, you need to give them that chance to have that mentality change. It's not something that just changes instantly. And so you need that learning, that adoption, all that stuff. Oh, it's the same point again. Good. Having said that, prompting is probably the most critical part that we've seen for users that are adopting AI, not just Gemini, but any AI. So if you do a quick Google search, you'll find this guide online, which is absolutely fantastic. I love a read of something offline on a flight or a train. If you're doing anything like that soon, or if you're going on holiday, download this PDF. It's actually a fantastic read on how to prompt efficiently. It's very important. Protecting your data. So Gemini does adhere to all the Google Workspace rules, security, and terms and conditions. So your data is always your data in Google Workspace. It's never going to leave your environment. And that includes anything you do in Gemini. I know this is a complicated picture, so I'm just going to try and quickly summarize it. Anything you do within your account stays in your account. Prompts in Gemini do not get shared. No one, even your admins, can see the prompts. The prompts are private to the end user. So that's very important. Data does not go out of your environment to get processed. Think of it as a small version of Gemini in your account, and that's what's used to create the prompts. So it's never leaving your account, it's never leaving your environment. And you only can run Gemini within your account on the files that you and your account have access to. Okay, so you cannot run Gemini to find out all the salaries in your business. If you don't have access to that, you won't be able to find that out. Okay. It's just a reiterative slide on that content as well. So Gemini does not teach the public learning model. It does not. We can utilize that publicly taught model, but we do not teach that model. And everything stays within your environment. I put this slide in because I find this is really interesting. That last bullet point as well, I mentioned this before. You can use Gemini with confidence that your data isn't moving around where it shouldn't be. You are not accessing data you shouldn't be. But the last bullet point is, if you're challenged on copyright grounds, Google will assume responsibility for the potential legal risks involved. So you can use those generated images as well, which is great. Okay, thank you. We've got 1 minute. Let me see if there's any questions. Okay, Sabine, I struggled with the task, vice versa. I have a presentation and would like to get a summary in Docs. Does that work? Yes, you can get a summary of a presentation. I can even just do it on the slide. I can get a summary of another slide in a slide. I can get a summary of all of those different things. Do ask any other questions while I'm just demoing this as well, because I think this is important. So if I click here, I can say, oops. No, let's do it in Docs, like you said. 1 second. Docs.new. So if I head over to the side panel here, I can say summarize the key deliverables. Whoops. Helps if you spell right. Summarize the key deliverables from, and then go at, and go public. Here we go. So this is a deck. I'm going to summarize it into a document, and I want to get all the deliverables that we discussed in this document, or sorry, in this presentation, into a document. Give it a minute because it's quite a big presentation, but you should have no issue doing that, I hope. There we go. So it's gone through and it's summarized all the deliverables in that document, and I can hit go. It's done. There you go. So it does work, and it works in an email. Imagine you've just created a presentation that you're for a sales pitch for a customer. You can go into your Gmail and you can say summarize the presentation I've made for the customer. It's very good. Okay, I got another question. How did I add Gemini to my Google Sheets and Doc? Well, firstly, definitely needs a license. So make sure you have your Gemini license assigned. If you are just able to get gemini.google.com and not the side panel, then you might not have a license. You're using the consumer. So be careful with that one. That does teach the learning model. So if you have a license, you should see it. It's now a general release. Thank you very much if you're dropping off. I appreciate that. Yeah. Any other questions? Good. I hope you learned something new today. I hope it was a bit of an overview of what Gemini. I mean, I could be here all day. Before you leave, you might want to click the pencil at the top. You can see the summary of what we've explained. At the bottom, you'll see any action items, and that's what is going to be wrapped up in my document as well after the meeting. That's Gemini for Meet, so you can see it firsthand, and we see it for this call. If you have any questions, please reach out. If you want to do a specific demo, please join us for every day this week. We have a session, so join us for those sessions as well. We'll go into more depth as the different use case and scenarios that you can do. Again, appreciate that you have given us an hour on Monday morning to take a look at Gemini. Thank you very much. Excellent. We have to use the same Meet. I'm not sure what you mean. As long as you use Google Meet, then you can use, and you have Gemini, you can use the same Meet link. No, you should have an invite for each of the sessions. If you're not on those, go back to the registration page and make sure you sign up for the different days, or reach out to the team and we'll help you out with that. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely week and speak to you tomorrow and the day after and the day after if you're joining those sessions. You'll get a lot more of me still. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. It was great.